To think that the interviews that we're busy doing now with the SAWIL Trailblazers finalists for 2020 actually started with an interview that you did with me is not only surprising, but it's just one of those things where you realize that if you open yourself up to networking and collaborating with other people, you know, the extent to which some of these things can go are amazing and are absolutely something that I would never have thought of. And I'm quite grateful that you agreed to do this with me as well. So welcome to the SAWIL Trailblazers Awards finalist interviews. And thank you once again for doing this with me. What have you got to say about this?
Well, Seipati, really the pleasure is all mine. I was writing a book, which I started in the April of this year, called Leadership, the Exponential Effect. There is the finished product. And in the book, I look at 12 principles of leadership, the last of which is celebration. And I thought to myself, what do we want to celebrate around leadership? We want to celebrate execution of results. We want to celebrate diversity. We want to celebrate women and women in leadership, and particularly in the sub-Saharan Southern African context. How do we do that? I didn't know there was an organization called SAWIL, did a little bit of research, found out about SAWIL, went onto LinkedIn, found out about Seipati, and thought, I'm going to be brave enough to send one of those email requests for you to come onto my, because I was doing the podcast show, Leadership Insights, and thought, I don't know, will I get a response? Your office was very good at protecting you and your time and your calendar because we didn't know each other. But the magical thing is you agreed. And we did that podcast interview. And as a result of that interview, I placed that interview into the final chapter of the book, where we spoke about your appointment as an angel investor with HD Africa, a senator. That was something that was really powerful. Yep. And we also spoke about the whole SAWIL Trailblazers thing. And you told me about 35 for 35 at the time.
That was with that one is with the HD Africa initiative, but it was more for my 35th birthday. That it was just a celebration I was doing. So it is interesting that you had a chapter called Celebrations, and at the time you didn't even tell me. you just said I'm doing an interview, and you said I will quote. Is there one small quote or piece of advice you want to give the women? And I gave that. So I thought that would just be 3 sentences in there. And if I remember the quote correctly, it was. It's not even a quote. It's just basically what I said to you at the time that, if there's anything I would say to other women out there, it's just be the kind of person that you wish you had when you started this journey yourself. So I don't know, do you want to share a little bit of what's in the book, since all the Trailblazers are each getting a copy, not all of them, the actual top 10.
So I introduced Seipati Mokhuoa as the Chief Strategy and Investment Officer at HD Africa, and the fact that you were appointed as a senator for the World Business Angel Investment Forum, and that you are founder and CEO of Southern African Women in Leadership. And then you told me about HD Africa Innovation Hub. And then here's the quote. I asked Seipati to explain more about SAWIL and the plans for the Vision 2030 Pioneers Awards. That's what you called it at that stage. It's now Trailblazers. And you said this: if you look at the South African top 40 listed companies on the JSE, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, there is only one female CEO there. And we've come up with a 10-year strategy to close that gap. And we want to identify and celebrate. That was what got me interested. Trailblazers in the Southern African development community. And you said these women must be passionate about transforming leadership in the countries in which they operate. They need to be extending the table in terms of diversity and inclusion, with a particular focus on gender equality. And you said we're looking for women who are extremely zealous and completely unapologetic about climbing the corporate ladder and changing the status quo. These women know who they are and what value they add, and they're not easily swayed to leave when challenges arise. Wow. And then you went on and you said, it's really difficult to break through the glass ceiling in the corporate environment. It's easier for women to give up. And that's often why we have more successful entrepreneurs than corporate leaders. And then I asked you for your lessons for aspiring women. And I think this was the real nugget. It was all good, but this was very powerful. You said, Seipati, self-leadership is at the foundation of excellence. You need to take time to invest in yourself. Growth and change are constants on this journey, so practice patience. Be compassionate with yourself at all times because nobody's going to do it for you. Once you are in a position of influence, be the person you wish you had by your side as a woman rising in the ranks of the corporate. We can never place enough emphasis on lifting as you rise. We need to be excited about having more of us at the table. Seipati Mokhuoa, 2020 in leadership, the exponential effect. So that's how it started. And then you've got hold of me and you said, I've got a great idea. Why don't we together interview these 32 finalists? And I had no clue. I didn't know who they were.
You didn't know, yeah.
I didn't know what they were about.
Yeah, I never actually followed up to say that, now we had nominations and we went through a process of from 200 plus women from, Southern Africa. We have finalists, about 32 of them. You had no idea about the process.
I had no idea about that. And you said to me, well, would you be happy to be involved in doing the interviews and putting a little vignette together? I said it would be my privilege because I'm fascinated by any opportunity to talk leadership. And then you said to me, well, Andy, if the book's coming out, why don't we, let the book shine as well? And would you be prepared to offer 10 copies to the 10 finalists? And I said, Seipati, absolutely. There it is.
Let me correct you. Now that I can call you my friend, let me correct you. This is not for your book to shine. This is for my trailblazers to get a book.
I think it's mutually beneficial, right?
I just need to put it out there. But I'm joking. I think it's an incredible book. I mean, I can't wait to get my copy. And to think that I had no idea that your last chapter was about celebrations. And at the time, being your interviewee, and you were able to pick up, some nuggets that you saw fit for the book. So I'm grateful for that opportunity. But I'm even more grateful that really the ladies get to actually delve into your wisdom as well, pearls of wisdom. So I'm all about that. I'm all about as we empower ourselves, we are able to also, share, but you can't share from an empty cup. So if there's a little bit that we can give them, which is from your book in this instance and from these interviews, we are even putting them in a position by doing these interviews to actually give, because every question or every interview ends with, what pearls of wisdom can you share with other women who are upcoming or who were once upon a time at the beginning or a foundation phase of their careers? Janine Hills. So I started Southern African Women in Leadership in 2014, and the very first organization I wanted to get into, of course, when you Google, that's what comes up. And I've always had, a little bit of access, via the sideways, but never really into it. You put me in touch with her, and she also offered to give 10 of the main finalists, the winners basically, her coaching sessions.
Wow.
And I understand that they are quite expensive. They're not...
Well, not only are they expensive, Seipati, but you've got to understand, and I know Janine, and I've been a wonderful follower of her work, both professionally and just who she is as a human being. She has worked with some of the most influential people and organizations in the country and on the continent and around the world. And she was part of Vuma Reputation Management for many, many years. That was the company. So for her to offer that, the coaching around authentic leadership, which is what she does now, and the reputation management for these leaders, as a prize, I would say it's invaluable. You actually can't put a dollar value on that. So it was just my joy to talk to Janine and to talk to you. I really had a sense that the two of you needed to, find each other, and that's happened. And now there's another connection which has been made. So really, this is an example of the exponential effect in so many ways.
In so many ways. And if you open up yourself to opportunities and to working with other people, you just never know what could basically come out of it. So I'm going to end it with the famous tag, Dr. Andy Brough, what a trailblazer you are. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing for SAWIL and for what you've done for me personally so far. A 3 months relationship or friendship, a golfer, So SAWIL is Women Leadership Golf. So I'm glad that we our paths crossed. In fact, I'm glad that you knocked on my door. So I really appreciate that. And I look forward to everything else that we're going to do from here on. And good luck to the Trailblazers. And
absolutely. Yeah. And now I'm going to do what you always do, Seipati. You are a real Mbokodo.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.